After rolling out E20 fuel all over India, government has now started discussions with the car manufacturers on the possibilities of introduction of E25 petrol. So let us look at the pros and cons and the challenges. While it is creditable that the government could achieve the target of E20 petrol all over India much ahead of the original schedule, the implementation of E20 petrol has definitely helped to reduce the crude oil imports to substantial quantities. Since almost 88% of our indigenous demand is presently being met by import of crude oil, any reduction in the crude oil imports is going to be really beneficial to the country, especially if you look at the figures. More than 20% of the country's total import bill is due to crude oil imports. So, amidst the global volatility and West Asian tensions, it's really creditable that we could achieve reduction in crude oil imports by way of blending 20% ethanol in the complete quantities of petrol being utilized in India. So, thus, it has helped the energy security. The other benefits of going higher and higher ethanol blending is definitely the environmental benefits, because ethanol is a cleaner burning fuel as compared to the fossil fuel petrol. Since it's agricultural based production of ethanol, the carbon dioxide emitted during combustion of ethanol is more than offset by the carbon dioxide absorbed by the plants during the production of ethanol. Due to the presence of oxygen in ethanol, it really promotes a cleaner combustion, more complete combustion, thus reducing the unburned hydrocarbons and particulate matters. It also helps to improve the income to the farmers. It boosts the market for agricultural products like sugarcane, corn, rice, maize. This also helps improving the rural employment. But the biggest problem, the challenge is with regards to the engine performances. So the consumers of vehicles in India, they are really concerned, they are really worried, and they are the ones who are getting affected actually. On one side, they are not getting any price benefit because ethanol blended petrol is also sold at the same price, retail price levels, while there is a lot of risks, a lot of challenges with regards to the engine performance and the engine life and things like that. Since ethanol has less energy content as compared to petrol, the ethanol blended petrol definitely gives a lower range of for the vehicle, or lower efficiency for the vehicle, almost efficiency lowered by 2 to 5 percentage for four wheelers. And there is severe compatibility issues, especially with regards to older vehicles. The older vehicles engines are not really designed for higher levels of blended ethanol. It is told that the vehicles which are manufactured beyond April 2023, they are well designed to take care of E10, that is ethanol up to 10%, or even up to E20 up to 20% ethanol. That should be okay. But the older vehicles, it's still a question mark. People who are owning the older vehicle, we don't have a choice to go for alternate fuel. So the question is only whether introduction of E20 or still higher levels which we are trying now to 25% ethanol blending, is it being done at a faster pace, which means that the vehicle manufacturing facilities also have to gear up in parallel, and also ideally there could be options available people with older vehicles to go for an option with a lower percentage of ethanol blended petrol, or at least to have a price differentiation, so that when the choice is given to the person, different price levels of petrol is available with lesser blending and more blending, so that a person can choose. There are many other problems still to be sorted out, things like a major portion of the ethanol being produced in India are still the first generation or the 1G ethanol, not 2G. Of course, some production facilities are there for production of 2G ethanol. The 1G ethanol is exclusively based on crops like sugar and grains, whereas the 2G ethanol is based on crop residues, which is more eco-friendly. When it comes to 1G ethanol, there is always a possibility of a risk of food scarcity, because the farmers may divert from normal food products into the ethanol raw material grains. So definitely there is a need to increase more and more 2G or 3G ethanol production facilities in India. So the food versus fuel concerns when the grains are used for the production of ethanol, it's a big question mark. The feedstock seasonality and the logistics, very important to think about. Several 2G plants have already been commissioned by IOCL, BPCL, and HPCL using agricultural residues like rice, straw, corn cobs, and etc. So, this needs to be expanded further. The energy content of ethanol is almost 34 percentage less than petrol. However, because of the higher octane number of ethanol, the blended petrol will have a octane number as high as 95 RON. So, if the engines are designed with higher compression ratios, definitely some advantage can be achieved because of the higher octane number. So, the mileage drop can be partially compensated. So, definitely the older vehicles will suffer on the mileage, may not be very significant. Unless you run quite a number of kilometers, you have the usage very high, then of course maybe some difference you may feel. Actually, if you look at the condition in India today, the ethanol price based on the production, the cost of ethanol is equal or higher than the petrol price itself. That could be one reason the government is unable to reduce the price of the blended petrol in the retail outlets. But from the point of view of the consumer, when they are losing on mileage a bit, definitely they look for a lower price for the blended petrol. The other issues with respect to the engine is the life of the engine is at risk. Some of the components may not be designed because ethanol is highly hygroscopic, water absorption, so that can lead to some corrosion. Some rubber components can get affected. So more clogging, the cold start problems. So more of service is required for when you are using blended petrol, especially in the older engines. The engines are not designed when the components are not designed, and there is a issue with respect to insurance. The guarantee and the insurance. The insurance companies are not ready to take up the issue of usage of ethanol blended petrol in the older vehicles. They don't accept. So that is the insurance challenge is not addressed properly here. Just look at the worldwide situation. The ethanol blended petrol is nothing new to many countries, especially countries like US and Brazil, and they are successful in going up the blending level to much higher levels. But then in those countries, definitely there has been an improvement in the engine technology. The newer engines are being specially designed for higher percentages of ethanol, specifically designed. There is also one concern on excessive consumption of water for crops like sugarcane and corn, and which are used as a raw material presently. It takes away huge quantities of water, which is a big concern in certain places. Government is also looking at another possibility as a solution to some of these problems. That is a flexible fuel vehicle, FFV. FFVs are modified engines specially designed to run on petrol or ethanol blended petrol, or even ethanol up to 85% or even 100% ethanol it can run. That is the type of engine which is designed for FFVs. This is there in countries like Brazil. It has been successfully utilized. Using advanced blending management systems, the engine can actually detect the actual blend of ethanol, how much of ethanol is blended. And it can optimize the performance and lowering emissions, thus supporting sustainability and as well as oil dependency. Definitely, our country, it is a necessity that we should move towards FFVs. Engines are specially designed to take care of the highly corrosive nature of ethanol, as well as the difference in the energy density. So the whole fuel system in these engines are being modified. Specially designed sensors actually identify the blend and instantly adjust the fuel injection and spark. In Brazil, they call it total flex, or flex cars are widely available in the market. So once we are able to introduce FFEs in a staggered manner, we can go much higher blend levels, maybe 20% or 100% ethanol blended levels. It's entirely different from some of the biofuel vehicles which are available. Biofuel means you will have two separate fuel tanks, but in the case of FFV, it's a single tank. The single tank mixes the fuels actually. Electrified flex fuel vehicles are possible, EFFVs. That is to integrate a hybrid battery and the normal FFV vehicle. To conclude, let us say that while our country has been quite successful in the fast implementation of the production facilities of required quantities of ethanol to meet the E20, that is 20% blending of the complete consumption quantities of petrol. On one side, there is still a lot more things need to be done on one side on the engine compatibility issues, the newer engines coming up, and also need for some benefit to the consumers by having differential pricing, and also availability of different blend levels so that a choice can be made, and also the concerns on the water consumption of the crops, the agricultural diversification, and the lifetime environmental impact needs to be studied. Thank you.